Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on the positive impact of youth sports. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. You know, there's a lot of talk about the best ways to keep kids and teens on a positive path when they face so many distractions and social media pressures. Now, many parents, coaches, and advocates are turning to youth sports to keep kids healthy and focused in productive ways.
Unbelievable. Miller is guarding Sprewell, but Houston and one.
Two-time NBA All-Star and New York Knicks legend Allan knows all about winning and what it takes to get to the top and thrive. He now uses his talents and life lessons to train current players as New York Knicks Vice President for Leadership Development. He's also sharing his wisdom and skills with youth and adults through his organization called Fizzle. The goal is to promote leadership and personal growth in all areas of a person's life. He says youth sports can build character and life skills when the focus goes beyond the externals.
What we don't place enough emphasis on is the real personal character and inner development of the young person. That is the thing that matters. It's not about how much what you do, is who you are and who you're becoming in the process.
The Mo Better Jaguars Pop Warner football team from Brownsville, Brooklyn, won the World Championship in 2024. Falling short of the top trophy the year before motivated the mostly 8- and 9-year-old kids even more, says Coach Keith Lackerson. He says their big title win was a great life lesson, giving them proof that hard work pays off.
The work is always the most important thing. So these particular group of kids this year, I saw that they were really motivated when they didn't mind putting in that extra work. It was extra practice days added. It was extra time added towards practice, and they were all for the work.
Many famous pro athletes got their start in youth sports. Yankees Hall of Fame legend and World Series champion Derek Jeter started playing baseball with the Little League. Early in his career, he founded the Turn 2 Foundation to help youth adopt healthy lifestyles and get college scholarships. For kids from challenging circumstances, sports can make all the difference, says sports journalist Harrison Sanford.
In any realm of industry, particularly for youth who are coming from different, maybe underprivileged backgrounds, if you don't have the work ethic, you don't have a chance. And that's where youth sports comes in.
Let's take this to our panel and find out what they have to say. Joining us is Allan. He's a two-time NBA All-Star. He's the Vice President of Leadership Development for the New York Knicks, and he's the founder of Fizzle. We're going to find out all about what that's got going on. Allan, thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
We really appreciate it. Also with us is sports journalist Harrison Sanford. He's an ESPN radio host and also an MSG Network sports betting analyst. Harrison, great to have you with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me as well.
Thank you so much. Also with us, if you've been watching Fox 5 News, you may recognize him, Keith Lackerson. He's a youth football coach. He is the coach of the 2024 Pop Warner World Champion Mo Better Jaguars coming out of Brownsville, Brooklyn. So big shout out to you, Keith, and to the boys and to all the parents and volunteers that made that happen. So, Allan, I want to start with you on this because you made it a point and put a lot of time into developing youth, developing their leadership. Where do you see the value of youth sports programs?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking on this topic and highlighting it. As a father of 7 and a son of someone who was my coach in college. My father was the first Black head basketball coach in Southeastern Conference history. So growing up, not only did I learn to appreciate coaching, but I learned to appreciate the foundation of building team camaraderie, leadership, character, because my father was my coach. And you learn kind of like almost like an operating system, right? And so the value is today's world, our young people are getting hit from all different sides of pressures, images, suggestions, distractions, rankings. So there's so much unhealthy things that they're already dealing with that sports, I think, gives them the healthiest way to train the inner person, who we are as people, learn how to compete, learn how to be a good teammate, a good, comrade. During COVID, you saw that how important sports really were, because that was even taken away. So the socialization of our children, the inner character growth, the spirit and the mindset that you learn to develop in sports was kind of being stripped away. And so it is one of the greatest tools for life, right?
Keith, tell us about the secrets of a Pop Warner Championship, World Championship coach. How did you keep them motivated throughout all of the challenges that you guys went through?
The motivating part, oh man, I've had these kids for about 4 years. So we've been through our bumps and bruises. We lost to go to the North Georgia Pop Warner Championship on like a last-second touchdown. So going into the year as a coach, I ramped it up a little bit on the coaching aspect, as far as just connecting with them a little earlier, pushing them a little harder. So to keep them motivated, just remind them of how we felt when we lost the year before, because it was brutal. That feeling, I still feel it today, and that was the main goal, to just get over that hump. And I feel like, I don't want to say pressure, but the motivation that they had as well, and that we had together as a team, helped us get, go all the way.
Yeah, we're going to hear about that ordeal too, because a lot of people got behind the team to get you guys down to, I think it was Florida, right, where the championship was. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to bring in Harrison Sanford here, sports journalist. Harrison, when you look around at all the super successful, high achieving athletes in the pro arenas, have youth sports played a role in their ascent and in their careers?
Oh, 100%. You have to think about all of the AAU teams, the Amateur Athletic Union teams that kids play on, the Pop Warner kids that Keith has been coaching up. I think learning those skills from an early age, especially with how competitive now, even to get to college because of the NIL, youth programs are essential. But I think more than anything, not just for the athletes to gain the skills by being in youth sports, I think it's the mentality that they develop while being in youth sports that really makes them who they are as professional athletes. You have to learn how to deal with failure, as Keith referenced. You have to learn, as Keith is going to have to deal with his team next year, how to deal with success, which is going to be a different challenge for people when they get to certain levels. I think another interesting thing that Keith brought up as well, the kids had motivation going into this season, but I think too, the biggest thing more than motivation is actually the discipline to be on a routine and not necessarily do it because you're motivated to do it, because this is how you want to live. This is how you want to go throughout your athletic process. This is how you want to approach life as a human. I think those things are when they're taught at such an early age, even if it's going towards football or baseball or basketball, whatever it might be, there's a certain modicum of discipline that each kid learns that is quintessential, I think, to any highly functioning and successful adult.
There's much more to come. Stay with us.
Allan, you're the founder of Fizzle, which I think is an expression of just how passionate you are about this whole topic. Tell us what Fizzle is and what you guys do.
Well, Fizzle essentially is a life coaching platform for youth. Our goal is to take faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, and legacy, which is the acronym Fizzle, and really attach those values to young people and families. The goal for Fizzle is to allow young people and adults, parents, coaches who are working with young people to kind of have that, what we call a lens and a language, right? A lens and like a perspective that we can have in common. Just like when you have a playbook, when you have a strategy for winning, you need to all be on the same page. And then a language that we can all say, these are the values and the principles that we're going to operate and live by. At the end of the day, it's how can a young person recognize the importance of what we call VIP, your value, your identity, and your purpose, right? And those are the things that we really try to do.
Keith, tell us about the journey that it took for you to bring the boys to the World Championship.
It's been a long time since the program, let alone anybody in New York City, has been this far. So people don't realize how much it costs as a program to have 20 plus kids plus coaches who volunteer, right, to afford to get down as a group to Disney World, to stay, for 8 days to feed them, coaches as well for that long. So it was definitely a journey, which shout out to Fox 5, did an amazing job covering us, helping us so much get the donations that we needed. On the kids aspect, what we did our best to do was not let them know about those hardships, right? We didn't want them to, feel like maybe they couldn't make it, maybe they weren't gonna go. So we kind of kept that in-house as much as possible at a time when it got big on the media aspect. And the kids started to be asked questions about what if you don't make it? How would you feel? But, they really had no clue. They had no clue of the hardship that we were going through, trying to fundraise money, trying to gather money to get the kids out there. So it was definitely a task. And at the last second, we definitely, the last 2 or 3 days, we really got some huge donations. And shout out to everybody who donated and helped us.
Harrison, when you hear that story about these kids so very young, making that trip and achieving that at such a young age, what do you think of that?
I think of my own journey when I was an athlete as a young person, when I played in high school basketball. We don't recognize just how impactful these experiences are, the bonding moments that come from them. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they might look back at that game and say, wow, I can't believe we won. I can't believe we did this. But I think what will really be special to these kids, to the coaches, and to the community is realizing how much further their friendships have grown from them, the relationships that are birthed from moments like that, and how they can be impactful going forward. I think back to when I was playing high school basketball. I lost in a state championship game. That hurt. But those friends that I had along the journey, right, are some of my best friends in this world. They're not professional athletes, but they're in tech and they're in healthcare and they're in engineering, and all of those people now who have their own set of life experiences have now helped me navigate mine. The camaraderie that you build and those friendships that you build, you don't realize how long lasting they could be and how impactful they could be to your further success.
Allan, you're a father of 7, which congratulations on that. And also coaching, developing leaders. How can sports help kids adjust in this kind of world where they feel like, wait a minute, they're being compared to people on their phones or on social media and exposed to a lot more at a much younger age than we were?
I tell people when I was playing, I didn't have to deal with everybody answering and caring about everybody in the world and having access to me and me access to their thoughts. Right. I get booed and somebody say something in the Madison Square Garden and it's okay. The next day I could choose to close the paper or not listen. But now you're attached to every thought, every suggestion, and you have to deal with that internally. So mental health is so important. So you have to have tools and you have to have a support system to deal with these things. And sports allows you to do that. It gives you an outlet, allows you to compete. It allows you to talk to a coach. Coaches they might be the most important people to young people because I can say something to my child, but what matters more in that setting right now is what the coach says, because the coach is in control of the playing time and the thing that they love to do.
Harrison, what about the pressures on athletes, their mental health?
It is immense. And as Allan alluded to, it comes from all ways and sizes now because of social media, because of Instagram, because of TikTok, and because of new media outlets and the desire for everything to go viral. And so you feel as if when you're an athlete, you're fighting against so many different forces that are coming against you when it comes to dealing with the pressure. But I do think that's the beautiful thing about sports as well, because it does allow you to kind of bury yourself in the work. You can get buried in the process. You can get buried in the workout routine. Think about this, even us as adults, right? We're having a bad day. Things are not going well. What's the first thing they tell you to do? You probably should just go to the gym.
Right.
You feel a little bit better after you sweat it out. Get those endorphins go and let yourself loose and go work out. And I think that applies even for kids. And you have problems at home or what you perceive as problems at home. You're dealing with whatever it might be. And then hold on, wait a second. I got 3 hours after school today where I could just play basketball. I don't have to think about anything else about my jump shot. I think all those things kind of help you deal with all the different angles of pressure that could be coming your way, especially as a youth.
You talk about those outside pressures. Keith, how do you deal with that with the boys too? Because I mean, there are outside pressures. Kids, the age group that you're dealing with, like 9 and 10-year-olds, they're aware of what's happening in the streets. How do you create a safe zone type of feeling for them?
Social media, in this generation, the kids, they can't get away from it, right? We can't get away from it. So they're a lot more knowledgeable about things that maybe they shouldn't really know about. So so what I do personally is when I'm giving car rides home, and this is a regular thing, picking up and going, no phones, right? We talk. This is when we have our conversations. This is my time to get to you without talking football, right? It's inevitable, football gets slid in there, but this is my personal one-on-one time, and I pick up about 5 kids and I drop off about 5 kids, right? And it's all in like an order. It's a whole circle, and each time I'm at some point they're alone with me. So it's how was school, right? And then they'll tell me, and I'll tell them, all right, this is what you got to do to work on this, because without this, you can't get this, right? Without good grades, you can't even play football for this program. You just can't.
Keith, what keeps you motivated to do this?
More than just a coach, I'm more like a mentor, big brother. I love that part of it more than coaching. It's a lot, and it's also a second and third priority, right? Because once you're in it, the commitment is it's bigger than just X's and O's. It's bigger than just being on the field or on the court. It's so much more to it, and then the love that you grow for the kids, especially at such a young age like I have, it's everything. You can't turn your back on them for nothing.
I 100% agree with everything that Keith just laid out. I don't think there's any athlete, any professional athlete, or even just somebody who played youth sports who can't think back to that coach that helped them, and not necessarily on the court or in the field, but could have helped them financially, could have helped them emotionally. There are so many different roles that Keith and people like him play that are truly undervalued, I believe, when we look at youth sports. We look at who won the championship. We look at what sport they play. We look at what colleges are the kids going to. What should really be highlighted is the personal development that happens when you are participating in these youth sports. And people like Keith, you need them.
Do you think enough emphasis is placed or enough opportunities for sports for these kids?
Well, I listen, one of the things is the relationship. The socialization is so important, right? Of sports. Like you learn to become a friend, you learn to become a good teammate. That's going to carry you for the rest of your life, because that's what life is, right? In basketball, right, they have this thing called a plus minus, right? And you're measured by your impact on the floor, on the court at that time. Did your team go plus or did they go minus when you were on the floor, right? And they do all these measurements. And what sports does is allow us to understand how we impacted our environment as we're a part of it. So yes, I think Keith made a good point. Like, it costs a lot. There's a lot of these coaches aren't getting paid,
Right.
A lot of money. So you have a lot of people who are volunteering time. They're youth coaches who have jobs, and then they're doing this as a second or third activity in their life, but it takes so much commitment. Most of your job and your responsibility is to really help be there for the child when they're going through something. They're going through a breakup with a boyfriend or girlfriend, or there's something's happening with their family, right? Something's happening with they can't get to practice. So you got to go get them because their family can't get you to practice. So it's the consistency and the discipline that you have to try to help manage. And all these things are part of the big picture. So yes, it's a big endeavor, and it's a big part of what we need to do to help our young people have a consistency in their lifestyle.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on the positive impact of youth sports. You can watch it again and share it on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page and see many Street Soldiers episodes on the Fox Local app. Just click watch and you'll see our show playlist. Remember, use your mind, it's your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.